The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas has once again brought the Palestinian territories to the brink. Amidst the escalating violence, a familiar discord has emerged within the Palestinian leadership. Mahmoud Abbas blames Hamas for instigating the conflict and jeopardizing the Palestinian cause. This is not the first time Abbas has clashed with Hamas. The two factions have been in a power struggle since Hamas's 2006 election victory. The rivalry escalated with Hamas's 2007 takeover of Gaza, splitting the territories. Abbas fears Hamas's actions undermine his efforts for a negotiated settlement with Israel. He accuses Hamas of provoking Israel, leading to Palestinian suffering. The conflict exposes deep divisions within Palestinian society. As fighting continues, Abbas's vision of a two-state solution remains uncertain. Abbas's condemnation of Hamas has been swift and uncompromising. In a televised address to the Palestinian people, he denounced Hamas as sons of dogs, accusing them of orchestrating the current crisis for their own political gain. He argued that Hamas's actions, particularly the taking of hostages, were a reckless gamble that had backfired spectacularly, leading to widespread death and destruction in Gaza. Abbas's anger is palpable. He sees Hamas's actions as a betrayal of the Palestinian people and a direct challenge to his authority. For years, he has pursued a strategy of diplomacy and negotiation, seeking to secure a Palestinian state through peaceful means. Hamas's militant approach, he believes, undermines these efforts and only serves to prolong the conflict. Abbas's outburst has been met with mixed reactions. Some Palestinians share his outrage, viewing Hamas as a reckless and irresponsible actor that has brought nothing but misery to Gaza. Others, however, see Hamas as a legitimate resistance movement fighting against Israeli occupation. Abbas's scathing remarks highlight the deep divisions within Palestinian society and the challenges he faces in maintaining unity in the face of such a polarizing conflict. His ability to bridge these divisions will be crucial in determining the future of the Palestinian Authority and the prospects for a lasting peace. Abbas accuses Hamas of instigating conflict with Israel. He cites rocket launches and border infiltrations as evidence. Hamas claims its actions are a response to Israeli aggression. The conflict has devastating consequences for Palestinian civilians. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is dire. Central to Abbas's vision for a peaceful future is the disarmament of Hamas. He has repeatedly called on the group to relinquish its weapons and embrace a path of non-violence. He argues that Hamas's continued possession of rockets and other weapons poses a threat to both Israel and the Palestinian people. Abbas believes that a disarmed Hamas would be forced to engage in the political process, rather than resorting to violence. He envisions a future where Hamas operates as a political party within a unified Palestinian state, subject to the rule of law and the authority of the Palestinian Authority. Hamas has rejected calls for disarmament, arguing that it has a right to defend itself against Israeli aggression. The group views its weapons as a deterrent against Israeli attacks and a symbol of its resistance. It is unlikely to relinquish them voluntarily. Abbas's demand for disarmament highlights a fundamental dilemma at the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Israel is understandably reluctant to make concessions to a Palestinian Authority that cannot guarantee the security of its citizens. Hamas's continued possession of weapons undermines the Authority's credibility as a peace partner and makes a negotiated settlement all the more elusive. Section 5. Hostages as a bargaining chip. The issue of hostages has emerged as a major point of contention in the current conflict. Hamas's capture of Israeli civilians during its initial incursion into Israel has further inflamed tensions and complicated efforts to reach a ceasefire. Abbas has condemned Hamas's hostage-taking, arguing that it is a violation of international law and a moral outrage. He has demanded the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, arguing that their continued detention only serves to prolong the suffering on both sides. Abbas sees the hostages as a potential bargaining chip. He believes that their release could help to de-escalate the conflict and pave the way for a negotiated settlement. He has urged the international community to pressure Hamas to release the hostages, arguing that their freedom is a prerequisite for any meaningful peace talks. Hamas, however, has shown no willingness to release the hostages unconditionally. The group views them as leverage in its negotiations with Israel and is likely to demand a high price for their freedom. The fate of the hostages remains uncertain, and their continued detention adds another layer of complexity to an already intractable conflict. Section 6. A history of hostility. The current animosity between Abbas and Hamas is the culmination of a long and tumultuous relationship. The two factions have been at odds since Hamas's unexpected victory in the 2006 Palestinian legislative elections. Hamas's electoral success, seen by many as a rejection of the Palestinian Authority's corruption and ineffectiveness, challenged Fatah's long-standing dominance of Palestinian politics. Tensions escalated in 2007 when Hamas seized control of the Gaza Strip after a brief but bloody civil war. The takeover left the Palestinian territories divided, with Fatah controlling the West Bank and Hamas ruling Gaza. Since then, the two factions have maintained an uneasy coexistence, punctuated by periods of open conflict and fragile ceasefires. Repeated attempts at reconciliation have failed, hampered by deep ideological differences, mistrust, and a struggle for power and resources. The current conflict has exacerbated these divisions, pushing the two factions further apart. Abbas's accusations against Hamas have been met with defiance and counter-accusations. The prospects for reconciliation appear dim, raising concerns that the Palestinian territories could remain divided indefinitely. The internal Palestinian conflict has weakened the Palestinian national movement and undermined efforts to achieve a two-state solution. A divided Palestinian leadership makes it difficult to negotiate with Israel, which can exploit the divisions to its advantage. Section 7. The human cost of conflict. As with any conflict, it is the innocent civilians who bear the brunt of the violence. The current fighting has resulted in a staggering loss of life and widespread destruction in both Gaza and Israel. Abbas has cited harrowing casualty figures, highlighting the devastating toll the conflict has taken on the Palestinian people. He claims that over 200,000 civilians have been killed or wounded, with thousands of families displaced from their homes. While the exact figures are difficult to verify independently, there is no doubt that the humanitarian situation in Gaza is dire. Hospitals are struggling to cope with the influx of casualties, and basic supplies are running low. The United Nations has warned of a looming humanitarian catastrophe if the fighting does not stop soon. The conflict has also had a devastating impact on the Israeli population. Rocket attacks from Gaza have claimed the lives of Israeli civilians and caused widespread fear and disruption. The constant threat of violence has taken a heavy toll on the psychological well-being of Israelis living near the Gaza border. Section 8. The uncertain future. The current conflict has cast a long shadow over the future of the Palestinian territories. The violence has exacerbated existing divisions, weakened the Palestinian Authority, and diminished the prospects for a negotiated settlement. The duration of the conflict will be a critical factor in determining its long-term implications. A protracted conflict could further destabilize the Palestinian Authority, potentially leading to its collapse and creating a dangerous power vacuum. This could pave the way for more radical groups such as Hamas to fill the void, further complicating efforts to achieve peace. A shorter conflict, while still devastating, might create an opportunity for a reset in Israeli-Palestinian relations. The shared experience of suffering could potentially foster a greater willingness to compromise and seek a negotiated solution. However, this will require strong leadership and a genuine commitment to peace from both sides. The international community has a crucial role to play in mitigating the humanitarian crisis and creating the conditions for a lasting peace. This includes providing urgent humanitarian assistance to those in need, pressuring all parties to respect international law, and working to restart meaningful peace negotiations. Section 9. A long road to peace. Despite the current challenges, Abbas remains committed to his vision of a two-state solution. He believes that a peaceful resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is the only way to guarantee the security and well-being of both peoples. Abbas's goals for peace include an end to the Israeli occupation, the establishment of an independent Palestinian state based on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital, a just solution to the refugee problem, and an end to all forms of violence and incitement. Achieving these goals will require significant compromises from both sides. Israel will need to be willing to dismantle settlements, withdraw from occupied territories, and address the legitimate grievances of the Palestinian people. The Palestinians, in turn, will need to recognize Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state and commit to a lasting peace. The road to peace will be long and arduous. However, the alternative, continued conflict and suffering, is simply unacceptable. The international community must work together to support a just and lasting peace that allows both Israelis and Palestinians to live in security and dignity.